The moment someone disrespects you, your body reacts before your mind even has time to catch up. Your jaw tightens, your chest gets hot. That voice in your head says, say something, and not just anything, say the thing, the one that'll cut just as deep. Make them feel it. Level the field. But what if I told you that the strongest response you could ever give in that moment is nothing? Staying quiet after disrespect doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're scared. It doesn't mean you didn't catch what they said or that it didn't sting. It means you've developed the discipline to not let someone else's lack of control steal yours. It means you understand that the moment you react to disrespect with equal disrespect, you've handed the other person the reins to your emotional state. You've confirmed that they have power over you. And that's exactly what they want. The truth is, most people aren't used to silence. They're used to chaos. They feed off reactions, loud voices, defensive body language, counterattacks. Because as long as they can provoke you, they're in control. But when you respond with silence, what you're really saying is, I see what you're trying to do, and I refuse to participate. Now, let's dig into that. Psychologically, silence creates discomfort, especially for the person looking to stir something up. When you stay quiet, you're forcing the disrespectful person to sit with their words. You're not giving them the out. You're not giving them a justification. You're not giving them the satisfaction. You're giving them reflection, even if they didn't ask for it. That silence, it becomes a mirror. And most people don't like what they see when they're standing in front of one. We live in a world where outrage is currency. People weaponize words and disrespect to provoke reactions, to win arguments, to establish dominance. And every time you take the bait, you're giving them exactly what they want. But when you don't, when you choose to breathe, to blink, to stand still, you remove their weapon entirely. Because here's the thing, silence is not passive. It's active restraint. It's not the absence of power, it's the precise direction of power inward. It's channeling everything in you that wants to explode and choosing not to. That kind of self-control, that's a sign of maturity, of emotional intelligence. That's someone who understands the difference between power and noise. And let's be honest, reacting in anger feels good in the moment. There's a kind of rush that comes with lashing out, but that rush is temporary, and it often leaves behind collateral damage, broken trust, escalated conflict, regret. And worst of all, it keeps you operating on someone else's level. You stoop. You shrink. You let them dictate the narrative. But when you stay quiet, you keep your dignity intact. You don't lose your footing. You remain grounded in your values, not pulled into theirs. That's strength. Not the kind of strength that wins arguments, but the kind that wins peace. I'm not saying silence is easy. Far from it. Silence takes more work than speaking. It takes more courage than clapping back. It takes more confidence than defending yourself. Because silence requires you to be sure. Sure of your identity, your worth, your self-respect. And most people aren't. That's why they speak first. That's why they react. But you don't need to. Because when you know who you are, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You don't need to prove your power. You are the power. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence also gives you space to think, to process, to decide whether a response is even necessary. It gives you time to evaluate whether this is a moment that deserves your energy or one that's better left to burn itself out. It protects you from knee-jerk reactions that you can't take back. It allows you to respond, if you choose to, from a place of strength, not ego. Because what you don't say in moments of disrespect often says more than what you do. And let's be real, people are watching. Not just the one who disrespected you, but everyone else in the room. Your silence teaches them how self-respect looks in action. It teaches them that you don't crumble under pressure, that you don't get pulled into chaos. It teaches them that you're not afraid of stillness, that you can hold the room with your composure alone. That's a different kind of leadership. Now, I'm not suggesting you stay silent forever. I'm not telling you to swallow everything and pretend it doesn't matter. I'm saying, don't let someone else decide the terms of your response. Don't let them yank you into the mud and then blame you for getting dirty. Use your silence wisely. Use it to disarm. Use it to observe. Use it to center yourself so that if and when you do respond, your words carry weight, not heat. Because when you speak from silence instead of from rage, people listen differently. You listen differently. You move differently. And make no mistake, staying quiet isn't about approval. It's about alignment with your peace, with your power, with the version of you that doesn't react to every dog that barks, because you've realized that not every noise deserves your attention. So the next time someone disrespects you, pause, breathe. Don't rush to defend, don't rush to attack. Just stay still for a moment. Let them hear the echo of their own disrespect bouncing back off the silence. That echo, that's the sound of your power. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to wonder why. What did I do? Did I say something wrong? Should I have spoken up sooner? But the truth, more often than not, is this disrespect is rarely about you. It's about them, their pain, their insecurity, their inability to process their own reflection without distorting yours. And that's where silence becomes your sharpest tool, not to hurt, but to expose. There's a kind of still power in saying nothing after being disrespected. Not because you're ignoring it, but because you're allowing their behavior to stand on its own, without your reaction as a distraction, without your words giving them an excuse. Silence puts a spotlight on their conduct, and what's revealed in that light is often uncomfortable for the person who dished it out. Because now, there's no one else to blame, no one else to argue with, just them. And their own echo. People who operate from a place of insecurity often seek control through disrespect. It gives them a momentary sense of superiority, a false elevation. They try to establish dominance not by lifting themselves, but by lowering you. And the second you respond emotionally, whether in anger, sarcasm, or defensiveness, you've confirmed their strategy worked. They've succeeded in pulling you into their world. But when you don't react, when you just look at them, calm, composed, unaffected, they start to feel something they weren't prepared for exposed. Because disrespect isn't about strength. It's a mask. It's noise. It's an armor that insecure people wear to hide their fear of not being enough. And when you stay quiet in the face of it, you're not just ignoring the behavior, you're disarming it. You're letting the weight of their own words come crashing down on them. You're saying, I won't carry that for you. That silence, it becomes uncomfortable. But not for you, for them. Most people can't sit in silence because it forces them inward. And when someone disrespects you and is met with nothing but the sound of their own voice, it's jarring. They start to question, why didn't you react? Why didn't you fight back? Why didn't you defend yourself? And in those questions, they find the mirror. They hear their own tone, their own intent, their own unprocessed wounds reflected back. That silence. It's not emptiness, it's confrontation. And it doesn't let them off the hook. You see, silence creates clarity. It separates you from their chaos. It draws a boundary without lifting a single finger. It tells the other person, I won't dance with your dysfunction. And more than that, it allows their behavior to collapse under its own weight. Because disrespect needs resistance to survive. It needs a back and forth. It needs engagement. And if you don't provide that, it implodes. Think about it this way. When someone throws a punch into thin air, they lose balance. But when they hit something, they feel powerful. When you remove the target, when you become emotionally unavailable to their aggression, they're left swinging at nothing. And that feeling, that's the exposure. That's when their insecurity starts to show. Insecurity always demands reaction. It feeds on the need to prove, to provoke, to win. But security, real, grounded self-worth, it doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need to retaliate. It doesn't need the last word. It's already anchored. And your silence is proof of that. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean you allow disrespect to continue unchecked in your life. It doesn't mean you stay in environments that devalue you. What it means is that you choose how you respond. You don't allow their insecurity to hijack your energy. You don't allow their dysfunction to dictate your identity. You observe. You assess. And then you act, not from emotion, but from intention. And sometimes that action is simply walking away, because not every insult needs a rebuttal. Not every challenge needs to be accepted. Some things are so beneath you that the only dignified response is silence and distance. But what about those situations where walking away isn't possible? At work, in family dynamics, in relationships where the disrespect is subtle, wrapped in sarcasm or passive aggression. That's when your silence becomes strategic. You pause. You stay still. You let the moment breathe. And in that breath,